Hi,
Hey,
Christine.
are
Hey,
you alive? Are you alive?
I'm barely alive. I
I
don't know
know.
how we survived, both physically and emotionally, the last couple of days. I feel like it's been a month
It,
that we've
it,
been following the Rangers on the road.
yes, yes, yes. Since from Wednesday to today, I need a vacation from those days off. So much fun, so much fun. So, really, really great. This is what we're going to talk about today. We're kind of going to give a rundown of our last few days and how we managed to survive all, all the overstimulation from everywhere.
Yeah, so for those of you just joining us, we are Double Defense. We're an all-female hockey podcast, and we're talking about the New York Rangers. I'm Liz. That is Christine. If
Hello.
you are listening to us audio only and not on YouTube, you can't see Christine always puts in a little lower third about what her new name is. She is road trip overloaded
I
today.
am.
Um,
I think
we
you can
we
tell in my voice too. It's like it's been kind of coming in and out with all the screaming, and it's better than it was before. So,
You can tell by looking at us because we we never both wear hats, and I think we both went, forget it. I'm not even bothering to brush my hair right now. I'm so tired. Um, so also, if you are new to Double Defense, I know we've talked up this podcast quite a bit in the last couple of days. Thank you so much for listening.
and
We had,
welcome.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
just an awesome time. We were on the road with the Rangers for Las Vegas, Los Angeles, and Anaheim, and there was just a lot that was happening over those couple of games, a lot of emotions. I think we're running very high because of where the team is at, and we'll dive into it.
Oh,
um,
wait, and guess where we're at right now? We're still number one. So,
Still number
like,
one.
just let's start there, and then we'll kind of work our way backwards for the little emotional roller coaster ride that I think Liz enjoyed a little bit more than I did.
I'm the first to admit I get closer, between the two of us. I get closer to hitting the panic button way
Yeah.
more than you do.
Yeah. I mean,
But
I've been frustrated. So that has come out. I'm going to admit that, for things which, the frustration's still there. It's not going away, with what we're talking. And we'll kind of get into the details of that and how they're playing. Because they are consistently inconsistent with what we want them to do, basically. So,
yeah, and
but
we had the very good fortune going to 3 games. That is 9 periods of
in
Ranger
4 days,
hockey
in
in 4 days.
4 days. Yeah.
The Rangers showed up, I would say, really and truly for one of those periods. And spoiler alert, it was the last period of the Ducks game that the Rangers were really all there for. I mean,
I
there
know
were
it's
some there were some
Jeremy missed. I'm sorry, Jeremy, when you listen to this. It's a poor thing.
we do have a friend, Jeremy, who left the Anaheim game early because I didn't think he thought they were going to
Well,
come
no, he
back from
has
that.
children, so that's a problem. The children had to go, and he left. And as soon as they left, everything happened. So, but most
Well,
no, like, and again, we're kind of going out of sequence, but nobody really left that game. So, so that's a good thing. So we'll kind of flip it back to with kind of where we started, in
yeah.
that
And
again.
just for the record, we are recording this on Monday, January 22nd. The Rangers will finish out their road trip against San Jose tomorrow. And we are hoping that they can at
With
least
a
take.
win, there's no hoping there. Mike.
We're hoping they're going to beat the last place Sharks, but anything can
Which
happen.
and we'll kind of get into this too as we talk about this. Like, there's two things I want to address as we're talking about this. One is I think Truba kind of had a comment about a slump, and and I was kind of we were kind of talking about that on the drive home, is really what constitutes a slump. And the other thing is, when do you throw in the towel for stuff? Is it the amount of losses? Is it when you lose to the Sharks, or you almost lose to the Ducks? So so we could kind of, and of course that's our banner going through, and that's everybody's topic right now, with any of the podcasts that we're hearing. It's everyone's got their different points. There's a lot of people are ready to just ditch everything yesterday, but let's bring it back to where it started on Thursday in Vegas.
Where it started for us. So the Rangers played in Vegas on it was Thursday, January 18th. We were lucky enough to be out in Vegas with a bunch of friends, and old friends and new friends who came out to watch the Vegas Golden Knights. If you have not been to T-Mobile Arena, it's right next to New York, New York. What a great place to see a game, first and foremost. Vegas knows how to put on a show.
Yeah, props to the beer house that is right outside T-Mobile Arena for, well, they were just there. We just took it over. And we did a pregame watch party with about 40 people. So with a lot of New Yorkers came in for road trip too. Got to shout them out as we go along too. And this is the first time that we are going to kind of geek out a little bit, and we're so honored that we actually had people who are supporters and followers of Double Defense, not only kind of travel, but they were putting it out there, and they came and met us, and so that's been exciting, and it happened at every game actually.
Yeah. That was that was crazy. That was awesome. Yeah. And we really appreciate it. This has been a fun journey and a fun community.
To build. Elvis. We met Elvis.
We did meet Elvis. So Vegas is all about the show. I went into that game very optimistic that the Rangers were going to have a really good game because Vegas has been battling a lot of injuries. Yes. It seemed like it was going to be a really good matchup, and the game was super fun. It was super fun to go to, but it was just not. I would argue that was probably their worst loss of the season. The Rangers lost 5-1. I thought Vegas played very aggressively, and the Rangers just could not figure out how to get around that.
Yeah, we saw Fox getting a couple penalties that game too. And then last year, we had a huge score. It was like 8-2, something crazy last year. So, sometimes you go in with those expectations, it's going to be a similar type of game, knowing that, as I'm always talking, parts are not the same and players aren't the same. But yeah, as you're right, like that was what they were talking about. When the fans are great there too, and everyone's like, yeah, everyone's out. But the players that were there showed up and almost got a hat trick. It's like it was crazy. And then
and just a little fun fact:
all the crowd with all the sounds and everything to distract you from everything going on. So.
And the fun fact of that game. Well, I was going to say it was the 8th time this season that the Rangers have given up 2 goals within 30 seconds. So that was that was kind of a letdown. And I also felt
moment.
and I also felt like Igor just did not play a great game. He was pretty mid, as the kids say.
Yeah, my biggest thing with this road trip was. As we go into like the other games, I'm kind of surprised that he did play the games he did. So honestly, like I love that quick play on Saturday, but typically he wouldn't. A backup goalie would not have played against Kings. So now we've entered in a little bit of a different thought frame of like how they play their goalies. And what, I think other people, as I was talking to between the games, everybody was anticipating, if Igor was in on Thursday, that was going to be quick. And that's trying to get people, to understand what people's thought process was in why they thought Quick would be playing. And, and it's understandable if it's that Igor's not playing at a caliber level, but at the same time, he could have played Quick on Thursday and he didn't. So it's a little weird on the goalie situation I'm having right now with what they're doing, what they're thinking. Don't know. It's a coach, but when we just kind of watch along. So I agree with that assessment with everything there. So I mean, we had hopeful moments and then we didn't. So,
I felt like that was certainly not a good game for Igor. I mean, the defense left him high and dry.
So he did make amazing saves. So I'm not going to let that go by because we did have a lot of Igor chance. He did let a couple go in, but it wasn't a crazy, game. And and he did make some incredible saves.
He did, but I don't know. There's something, and we can talk about too with the Ducks, because he played the game against the Ducks, and we'll talk about that when we get to. We're trying to go chronologically here, but I think he was struggling. There's definitely, this is not the Igor of last year. I'm not sure what's happening when he's on, but there seemed like there were some mistakes that he made, not being quick enough, not anticipating the puck about where it was. And I'm not sure if he's still battling an injury or what's happening. But there's definitely something up. He's not the he's not the same that he was.
It was around this time, December to mid-January, where he was kind of in the same thing, and then he went to the All-Star game, came back a different, and then he ended up doing well. So, I'm in it for the long-term kind of haul, like the stock market. You got to see it for the short term, but I'm like, in the long run, it works out. So yeah, we're kind of noticing it. I don't mind watching Quick get a couple more games and some extra time, because I'm hoping that we see Quick hit a milestone, if not this year, next year, really quick. He's so close, he can do it, and that's exciting to see. So yeah, and I also wonder, it is overwhelming in that arena. I don't know. This is where I kind of need the perspective of a player. It's overwhelming for us to be sitting there and watching it. There's lights and the sounds. Everything was so loud. It was sensory overload as a project. So I always, you wonder if that has any bearing on some of these players, when they're traveling, and because it's, every time they stopped, the puck for anything, there was something crazy going on.
Yeah, the showgirls would come out. Very different.
The ante there of this year. It was twice as crazy as it was last year.
How would you compare a Vegas Golden Knights game to MSG?
It's insane. I mean, I felt that even LA and Anaheim are trying to keep up with the Joneses with Vegas and trying to up it up too. And I just, especially from last year, it didn't seem like it was at that level. I mean, there was like a concert in between periods, like DJ. I mean, they had the lights and everything. And every time the play stopped, it was just so crazy loud. I don't know how kids do it, and adult people, I don't know how they do it. It's literally a show. If you have never been, it's great to go. If you're ever in Vegas, any team that's there, go see a game. It's fun. You might get Blue Man Group. You never know, but it is a show. We were talking about this in depth too. I don't know how people have season tickets to this, because it's too much on a regular basis.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like over it by the first period. It's fun. And we got shamed. Thank you, Foxy, for the shame. So when the whole arena starts shaming you, yes. And then they're really not really shaming you. They're kind of karate chopping you. Like, I really don't know what was going on there. But it was fun.
And it's a good community of people there. We met up with Stacy, who does all the ladies of the Golden Knights, but also all the ladies of the NHL groups. So she's always been lovely and a very gracious host. And I feel like the fans they're very respectful. I enjoyed the fans, the Vegas Golden Knights. But yeah, it is a good crowd. A lot of Ranger fans, obviously. Not as many as the Kings and then the Ducks, which basically both of those games kind of felt like a Madison Square Garden Ranger home game.
It was insane. So we kind of flew home on Friday. Felt like I'd get rest, but no. And all of a sudden it was Saturday, game day. And
Saturday back to crypto.com arena. Can't say the Staples Center anymore. For the LA Kings game. Tons of Ranger fans in the house. I think there's a lot of New Yorkers who have transplanted to LA, a lot of people who came out for the game. And I will say, I'm going to give the NHL just a little bit of credit here. The way that they did schedule this road trip made it very nice for Ranger fans to be able to come out to LA. They didn't consult my work schedule beforehand, which was frustrating. We met a lot of people who had either gone from Vegas to LA, or from LA, they're going to Anaheim and then up to San Jose. So They did make it somewhat convenient.
Props to everybody who's out here. Like I know I had a couple friends, Paul and his wife Maggie, and Ted and Peter, and all these guys came out from New York, and some of them made it out from the snowstorm and kind of got escaped it a little bit, and they're still going strong, and we need naps. I need a week-long nap, and then running into people, and there were some people that were taking off and kind of continuing up and going to San Jose. I met a couple wonderful ladies after the Kings game who kind of came down and did the whole trip. I think she said her husband surprises her with the game, and then this time gave her all the games and just sent his wife and her friends on this road trip. So,
wow.
So that was cute. So a lot of, we actually talked to a lot of people who actually did the whole, at least the 3-game streak, which was really fun to see. It was Star Wars night there as well. And I was talking to people about it too. The tickets were insane. So people wanted Quick to come back. Yeah. And if you watch the game on Saturday, he was emotional. I was like seeing it up close. It was so super cute. And
okay, I want to talk about that because that's really interesting.
That's what they said too.
So he was emotional before the game and like during it, but just to set the scene a little bit, the Kings had lost 10 of their past 11 games. It was Star Wars night. They did a big thing for Quick's return. The Rangers wound up losing 2-1, which I actually don't even think was representative of how badly the Rangers played in that game.
Well, no. They both played terribly.
They did. Both teams absolutely sucked. But when they interviewed Quick after
both teams played terribly. So Rangers just, I think that's. I mean, look, they didn't play well. Both teams. They were a comedy of errors. Like the Kings almost scored their own goal. They were tripping over each other. We kind of took that on Saturday, on Sunday night with the Ducks. We kind of tripped over ourselves a couple times. It wasn't the big difference. It was the shots on goal for me were terrible. Like I think they were taking them away. They were like, we're not even going to give you, we're just going to keep taking them away. And I think we had 12, in the whole game. It was something crazy. The Kings didn't.
But the funny thing was, after the game, Quick was super pissed. So they interviewed him and they said to him, this had to be a really emotional night for you. And he just goes, no. And then the interviewer goes, well, that video that they made for you, like that had to, like, you had to get emotional over that. And he goes, no, the NHL plays a lot of videos. This was just a game. He was so matter of fact. You could hear it in his voice, how pissed he was about what had happened. Well, he was not having it at all.
Yeah,
I think I put something on Twitter about it because it was just so shocking to hear him just like shut that down right then and there.
Well, it's funny. In comparison, I remember I was at MSG when Georgiev came back and played them for the first time, and it went into a overtime, and I don't know if it went to a shootout, but it was overtime, and they won. And I remember watching his reaction, and it was almost like a proud moment to go back and win against him, and just to have that success, especially with all the controversy when he was traded. So I feel it's a similar thing, Look, the tribute. If you guys didn't see it and you're listening to us now, the tribute was amazing. I mean, we're in LA. This is where we live. I was a season ticket holder for 20 years at the at Staples Center, which is Crypto Arena now, and then they traded him, and so and talking with Kings fans, it's like they love him just like we love Henrik and we love Igor. They loved Quick, but they kind of acknowledged that it was time for him to go. So I'm so glad that he's around, and they're, in a way, the fans are acknowledging we didn't realize he's going to be this good, and they were happy to see him. So he wanted to come back and be successful on his own part, and he didn't have it.
Yeah.
And so I get that reaction. I've seen the other side of it, with Georgiev kind of coming back and playing.
Yeah.
And, and especially when it's in your own, in your former house. And then it's funny because the tribute was like the best goalie that ever played for us, and I'm like, then why'd you trade him? I'm like,
you know what
like,
they said? I remember it was really sweet. It said the best to ever protect our net. It was like, oh, I almost shed a tear. And then to watch Quick's interview after, I was like, yikes. But yeah, I'm sure you're right. I'm sure he came in with wanting to make it happen and wasn't able to. I don't think it was his fault. I think he actually played a pretty good game.
He had some amazing saves too.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think the defense on the Rangers is an issue that we can and will spend ages talking about. I'm not supposed to talk bad about Miller. I made my New Year's resolution, but there were some big mistakes that were being made on D for by him, by several other members of the team, and just not a lot of energy from defense. So I feel like they left Quick a little high and dry, and I think he was feeling that.
I was really expecting that to be a really physical game. That's what I was talking about too over the weekend. Is I think, in my opinion, besides Tom Wilson and the Caps just being jerks, the Kings are one of the most physical teams in the NHL. And when we don't play physical with everybody else on the East Coast, when you come out here, I was really expecting them to step up and be almost just jumping the physical gun, so to speak, where, everyone's jumping the gun and anticipating what we're going to do. So that's why we see that level of energy or that increase in defense on the other teams. And we want to see our team match it, and they don't. And that's what frustrates a lot of people. So the Kings were still physical. They weren't as physical as I expected them to be. The Ducks actually were much more physical, but the Kings game, I was expecting more checks and more stuff, and we didn't see it. But that's kind of where the Kings are. So in talking to the fans and my West Coast correspondent child, the Kings appear to be having the similar issues that we complain about, and they're kind of complaining about the same things: the passing, the not shooting, and defense, and some goalie problems. I think they're because Talbot's out, so they're having similar issues too. So they were the better of the worst teams on Saturday. And by the way, I'll add in, we had great perspectives this week of, so when we went to Vegas, sat up at the roof, and where you got to hold on to go down to your seat. It's a little dizzying, but a great perspective because you got that eagle eye view. At Staples Center, we had a wonderful box where we were just elevated. We were kind of over. We had a great line to see Quick. We were right above him with the tribute and watching him not watch the video, and then I'll let you talk about our experience at the Ducks, because I think it was really exciting for you. It's kind of where I sit usually. And
which part? There were a lot of experiences.
We had a 3D view there. So we watched that goal go right in on Sunday. So that was exciting. It was really close. I mean, we could have just reached out and pushed it out.
Totally.
No one else did.
Totally. Well, and just to sum up, the Kings game, obviously it was a fun experience. Not the outcome that the Rangers wanted. And I think that losing those two games back to back did send Rangers Twitter nation into a little bit of a spiral. I don't know how much you go on our Twitter, but there's Twitter is a lot of people expressing frustrations, and then a lot of people getting angry at the people expressing frustrations. And the thing that I found with the Rangers right now is that at any given time, any given period, we don't know which Rangers team is showing up. Is it like this super precise, like finesse team with like tons of speed and skill and like Mika and Kreider doing their thing? Or is it like the complete mess that's not gelling? And I think that's what's causing, like, half the people are on it is time to fully panic and rebuild. And then an hour later, those same people are like, we're going to be cup champions this year. So we just don't know. And I don't think that's I don't think that's a reflection of the fans as much as it is a reflection of the team that we are watching this year. When we win, I would say even some of the games that we've seen, if we're going to lose a game, at least we want to see a hard fought game. And there were moments in the Kings game and the Vegas game, and then also at the beginning of the Ducks game, that the Rangers didn't really seem super motivated. And we had, thanks to Christine, absolutely truly amazing seats for the Ducks game.
We got to see their faces, like really. So that's what she's talking about. That's where you can really see like the faces.
Yeah, we were like, for warm-ups, we were right next to the glass. For the game, we were maybe 4 rows back, and you could see every change that the Rangers made. There was a look of defeat on everyone's faces. Like, it was noticeable. They didn't look like they were having a good time. And I understand, like, it's not a time for like goofing off. You just lost 2 games on the road. But at the same time, you want to look motivated. And they didn't look motivated. They looked depressed.
Yeah, well, or serious. I don't know what their serious faces are.
Well,
I just know that when they lose, they're grumpy, and that's not a look that you like to see, and we definitely saw the turnaround. So thank you for winning yesterday. Yes. Thank you for making the experience, at least. So with tomorrow's game, expect it to be a win. They'll come out of this 50-50, which it really isn't bad. I will say, so, and then as we kind of go into the Ducks game too, the other new thing we saw, and you were posting it, was like, what is it about? First of all, the fans don't like us. And maybe it's because we're taking over their arenas,
Yeah, and just for the record on that, that looked like the Ducks game at the Honda Center in Anaheim looked like a Madison Square Garden home game. That's how many Ranger fans there were. The chants of "Let's go Rangers."
I was stunned, actually. So yesterday, it was. I think the crowd was similar. Like, it was fine in LA, but walking in to the Ducks game yesterday in Honda Center, I typically, I typically sit behind, like right next to the Rangers bench in the lower bowl, right by in front of the face-off circle, and there's, it's usually not a problem. You just go there. When we walked in, the entire arena was filled with Ranger fans already, all the way around the ice. And you heard me say, I've been there every year. Typically, I'm by myself. I have never seen this many people show up this early, like in the game, to see warm-ups, to be there, all in blue. And then yesterday too, as the game started, it wasn't looking too good. Nobody left, so everybody stayed. And then I've seen it on the boards already today. Everybody heard it. On TV as they were watching, but you don't know how loud it was, sitting there. It was pretty amazing. Everybody was I heard a lot of similar comments saying this is just as loud as being in the Garden with people. So this was more people than I've ever seen. I'm like, I don't know where everyone came from, unless a lot of people did road trips, to kind of come out and see them play.
Either road trips or, a lot of New Yorkers they're good travelers, and they're good. Well,
everybody wanted to get out of New York before that snowstorm, and yes. A couple people barely made it. So, and yesterday was a nice day, too.
And there's tons of former New Yorkers in Southern California. There's no shortage of us. But just, overall on that game, the Rangers did win 5-2. It was a little touch and go at the beginning because we went down 2-0 in the first period. And yeah, it was kind of scary looking. And the Ducks, they played a physically aggressive game, but they gave the Rangers a lot of opportunities to score. And the Rangers really didn't take any of them. I think Kakko missed like a pretty easy shot. There were a couple of times that there was an open net and they missed some opportunities. And then Shesterkin, and Shesterkin there were at least that second goal that he let in, like that was
rolled on in.
Yeah, you could kind of see it. It's like he made the choice to not cover, and it didn't work out for him. Thankfully, there was another goal that was pulled back because it was offside. So that probably could have been one of the big turning points of the game. Cooley had a really good game. Panarin and Trocheck also, they look good. Kreider sort of got his groove back a little bit with batting his own rebound into the net. So that was fun.
And since again, we had a really good view, he was battling out with Gudas a little bit. There was tension, and I don't know if anyone else saw, like if you guys are watching, what I was seeing was there was at one point where the ref's kind of just pushing Kreider like back to the bench to keep him away and nudging him, but there was I know that they were kind of getting together a little bit, and they were they were kind of stopping him, but there was Gudas is going for Kreider too.
Out of the 3 games, there was, I think, the most amount of like tension. The refs really didn't let either of these teams fight, but the Anaheim game for sure, I thought had the most like tension in it.
Part of me is like, I don't like that because, here's the thing. We get a penalty or something, we do something, and then they start attacking us and the refs stop it. I'm like, let them fight because then we're going to be even. Why are you stopping it? I'm like, that's kind of unfair.
I totally agree. Let him go.
I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, there were like a couple of moments where I think a lot of stuff could have gone down, but the refs were just not. They were calling a really tight game, I guess. There was one really terrible call against Trocheck, where he wound up taking a penalty for whoever the Anaheim player was who skated into him. Like Trocheck didn't even do anything, and you could see how pissed Trocheck was. But thankfully the Rangers did pull it together. It was a final score of 5-2. I think it was a very, very much a needed win for the Rangers. I don't know where everybody's mindset would be right now if they had lost that game. I think
what it is?
Would be.
So they lose a game, but I think where they get emotionally like even sadder is when they do lose, they're not getting that, Mika Kreider hug bond thing. And so we not only did we have great seats, but I know Liz was in heaven because we were about 3 feet from the hug.
It was so good. It was so good. And it was like a particularly good hug. There's another girl on Twitter who was at the game, and she also posted the hug. And it was just like, it was exceptionally good, especially after all of the ups and downs.
They don't win 2 games. They haven't had that hug. They needed it. You can tell they need it.
Totally. And I did hear you talking to the people sitting next to us at the game about the fan fiction, the Kreider Zibanejad fan fiction. So maybe if we have some new fans and things slow down during the All-Star break, maybe I'll do another reading, because that is my all-time favorite thing to do.
I know it's been a while.
It has been a while.
So Trocheck is earning his place, and as we kind of wind down the talk, we are getting news today that Trocheck is now going to be going to the All-Star game. With him and another player, replacing some of the injured players like Bedard. So, congratulations.
So well deserved. Yeah, so well deserved. Trocheck's had a
now
hell of
we're
a
representing, So we've got him, we've got Igor, we've got Laviolette. So we're good, and then everyone else can get a break, do some homework, practice, and then take it home from there, because that's going to be coming up in the next couple of weeks too, very quickly. We've got that. So, so all in all, yesterday was an early game. It was funny. It was funny how both the Kings and the Ducks were putting up those polls. What was the one for the Kings?
Both of them were to the effect of, what is the worst thing about LA? Or no, the Kings put in something about how LA has 0% rainy days per year, but it was raining. Yeah. It was raining on the day that New York came. So thanks, New York, for bringing the rain, which was like a little it was a little sassy, but whatever. The Ducks went totally below the belt. They actually did a poll. This is up on the Jumbotron, and you could vote by taking a picture of the QR code that said, what is the worst thing about New York? And the choices were the traffic, the weather, Pizza Rat, and Long Island.
It was trash, Long Island, and Pizza Rat, and the traffic. I think the answer is traffic.
Pizza Rat is the best thing about it's the best thing about New York.
Future mascot right there. Still, it was really funny. They actually got votes though. It was funny. I don't know who was voting. was all the New Yorkers in the crowd. I'm surprised it wasn't all traffic, for that.
It was very funny. I like the good natured rivalry there. I'm very curious if anybody regularly goes to Anaheim Ducks game, did they give that same kind of shit to other teams, or is that specifically reserved for New York?
Yeah, each of these arenas, which again we don't do in Mass. I don't see this in Mass. If they do it in Mass, it's not the games I go to. But they're like doing the pie and the Rangers fake like kind of thing. They think it's funny, and and each arena had their own thing. And I'm going to tell you something. So again, Kings fans are kind of mean, but Ducks fans, you're really nice. But when you want to yell against the Rangers, you might want to change the tone. Oh, by the way, okay. So let me digress a little bit, because when we came in for warm-ups, one of the things that we were listening to is they were playing the Rangers victory song. So during warm-up. So what was that about? Did they know about it, or was it a taunting thing? And I think they were playing New York. Was it New York State of Mind? I think you heard another tune.
Yeah, so I think that was at the Kings game. They played New York State.
Right. So it's Kings game. And then the funny thing at the Ducks game was, the crowd, as everybody heard, the crowd was like, "Let's go Rangers." So the Ducks were like, "Beat the Rangers," and I'm like, maybe you don't want to have the same tune because you kind of blend.
Yeah, and I think everyone just thought it was a Rangers chant, so everyone was just cheering, "Let's go Rangers."
And then when they did their Ducks chant, everyone wasn't even in sync. I had to turn around. I'm like, if you guys are going to yell, be in sync with each other. It was not good. So, and then we might have to have an episode on how to cheer. Right? I mean, I am out of my voice because I was, I'm yelling. I'm doing my hockey mom, like skate, let them play, screaming. But there was a couple chicks at these games that were screaming like 6-year-old girls, where I'm like, I literally had to turn around, like, you're going to hurt yourself with the way you're screaming. And it was also really annoying.
And I just want to add one PSA for Ducks fans, for those two guys that gave us shit after the first period because we were down 2-0. 2-0 is the most dangerous lead in hockey. So can't give anybody any problems, because that is an easy lead to lose. So I hope they learned a lesson.
The taunting will get you. There was a guy 2 rows in front of us taunting the people in front of us too, and they got quiet because it was fast. It was that goal they called back, So and then they got quiet real fast, and then we scored again, and props to the kids next to me too. Who one of the kids was really they were drinking, so they were barely 21. And one of them was really cute and really new to hockey. The other one was about a year into hockey. And when I sat down, they were so cute. It was like, he was telling him about the lines. So like, the first line's got the better players, and there's a couple lines. And then I kind of just looked and I said, well, here's your test. What line's out there right now? The guy was like, I don't know. He's like, I just want to see a fight. And I was telling him the rules about how you don't get up during play. And then as they were coming back, the play started. I'm like, hurry up and sit down. He's like, I don't want to get anything thrown at me. They were so cute. And they were really fun. And, again, when we go to these places, the crowds are really good for us. And we just, I love asking questions and different perspectives of stuff too, with the games, from the little kids that are there and who they are rooting for. And by the way, LA Kings, making kids tear up their signs is not cool any way, shape, or form. Especially when you see grown ass women with their signs. You let the kids have their stuff. So we met a couple kids who actually met some of the players. They got Trocheck's autograph, they got Mika's autograph, and they were told they had to tear up the sign. So these poor sweet little kids came in with the little torn pieces of paper so they can at least have their signatures, on there during warm-ups. So that wasn't cool, but those are things we can talk about too as we go in, because there's a whole debate on the signage too, because sometimes it gets crazy where you can't even see the warm-up. So But all these different things, again, so much. We're trying to sum it up in a short period of time because we got other stuff to kind of talk about too.
There's so much going on, and again, we just are so grateful and thankful for all the people that we've met over the last few days. Everyone's been amazing, and actually, that leads us to we wanted to talk a little bit about the PWHL and a really interesting question that was asked to us by someone that we met. Because we were talking about how, we're starting to cover the PWHL. We have a lot of questions about the league itself. I think there's some things that we're curious about that we've been trying to find answers to. And one of the questions came up about why the women of the PWHL are wearing face cages. And your answer right away, Christina, totally agreed with you. You're like, because they're smart.
I know. Yeah, that was last night, right? So
totally agree. But it's an interesting question because I think it is league mandated. So Christine did some research on this.
Yeah. It was actually a really great question. So, and it's funny, I'm like, honestly, I haven't even really noticed. I'm watching the games. My son's texting me because he's really into it. In fact, he's talking about buying a jersey, and apparently all their merch is sold out. So props, you guys are doing really well. You're still selling out places and doing stuff. So this is a fantastic question as we're learning about the rules and how they're different. So I kind of researched it a little bit, and basically they don't really have an answer. I think it's just something that they agree to. But in one of the responses on Reddit, one of the former players, I guess Natalie Spooner, had kind of talked about that when they were in the CWHL and playing, where they're saying that they don't make enough money. They don't have money for a doctor on site. They don't have good dental coverage if something were to happen. So I think, and they were saying that there was a possibility that they would have allowed them to not to have a choice, but it sounds like the players chose against that and went, so it sounds like it's a player decision to have them. And I will kind of quote the comment here. It said Natalie Spooner talked about this in an interview not long ago. This comment was about 5 months ago, where I guess the previous league had floated the idea and the players themselves refused. On top of not being paid enough, not having comprehensive dental coverage, not having team doctors on site, like I was saying, they don't want to walk around toothless and with their faces smashed up. So yeah, it kind of just goes back to my thing. They're smart. And why not? It's not inhibiting their play any. And the comment came, I got the comment just came from a level of professionalism. If they're at a professional level, they should have the right to wear what they want. I mean, we're seeing that with neck guards, right?
Yeah.
And so, because they're at that elite level, but we are still seeing a difference with, with the women. It's the first year. They're getting paid more, but they're not getting paid like the guys are getting paid. It's still a part-time salary that these women are getting paid. And yeah, and if it's true that they really don't have adequate, medical people on site, if something were to happen, then you're not going to see a change to that rule anytime.
And then what do you, I'm wondering about why they wouldn't use the full face shield like Goodrow was wearing, up until recently. So at least it's clear and we could see their faces. I think, a lot of sports, especially now, I think there's a real understanding that we need to get to know the individuals, and part of getting to know someone is seeing them. And the cages don't really allow that. But I almost wonder if that's like a budget issue that, maybe it's much easier to get their hands on, cages for everybody versus that full face shield. I'd be very curious to know more about that. And the other question that I had that I've been researching this, I don't know the answer to it, but I'm curious about, why they play on the different size ice versus the NHL. And
this is the rink that they're at. They were playing on one of the ices bigger, and then they're playing in Minnesota. They're playing on the NHL ice.
And so, okay. So for that reason though, do all the rules still stand? So that rule about if you're shorthanded and you score, that is a product of really, being on bigger ice, keeping the game moving quickly. So how do you adjust your game if you're all of a sudden on a different size ice? It's just very curious. And I was super interested to know, if there's certain things that the NHL has formatted or legally owns that they can't do because they're not the NHL, they're a separate offshoot. So if they had the exact same rules, would that be some kind of copyright infringement? I don't know. I'm very curious about
Oh
this stuff.
no,
So
I
if
think
anyone,
I like their rules, and and they kind of map some of the European rules
yeah,
too. So, and I think I think it just I think that rule alone makes the game more exciting. I love that they put in there. I would love kind of just going to your point and your question. I would love to know what made them want to do that. So I don't think it has to do with the size of the rink or anything. I think it's just the rule they put in. Same thing with the scoring rule that they have in there. I mean, both of those changes in that they put into place really make you play the game. When you're getting 3 points for a win, and you're going automatically 3 points ahead of somebody in this small league, it makes a huge difference. And so, although they're still kind of even right now.
Yeah. So where are we at on the standings?
Oh, so let's look and see.
I think Minnesota was still in
Is
the lead.
number one.
Yeah, good for them.
And doing really well. And again, they're playing on an ice, and again, they're still getting through the all their first, playing each other on their home ice and traveling around. So with the 6 teams, you got Minnesota's in first place currently with 5 games played. Then Montreal's behind them with 6 games. New York, Ottawa, Boston, and Toronto in that order. The points, you got Minnesota's got 12, Montreal 10, New York 8, and then everybody else, actually they're tied, for 5 points. So the and we're still trudging along there. New York's playing, they've got some exhibition or some games in UBS arena. So they're also playing in different arenas, not just like their home ice one. So again, it's all getting a feel for what they're going to do and where they're kind of going to, kind of lay the land after the first season. So they're, I think in talking with Matthew, they're already looking at expanding the next season. We are going to post it. I'll post out that they do have 12 players that they have chosen to go to the All-Star game. So there will be an exhibition 3-on-3 with with 12 of the women chosen from the teams. So I have that'll go on as a post because we definitely want to prop them up.
Yeah.
Adding in game day notes. I felt bad I missed one. So, but they play tomorrow. The next game's tomorrow. Again, if you are listening and you haven't seen the women play, check them out. They are free. It's amazing. They're free. You can watch them on YouTube on their channel. It's free. I wanted to watch the replay to see if we can see our beautiful selves the game, but guess what? It's blacked out everywhere here.
It's blacked out. We can get you can get the replay. They'll do like the recap on YouTube. And if anybody wants to watch, when in the last couple of seconds, you can see me and Christine right up front
with our faces against the glass.
On that note, everyone, thank you so much for coming along with us. It's been it was a great weekend. We'll keep you posted on all things Rangers and how the rest of this week leading up to the All-Star game goes. Yeah. Thanks for everything.
Yeah, so we'll after we get a few naps in here and recuperate, and make sure everybody else is home safe. We'll start, and I have to go through my 1,000 pictures I took too. So we're gonna post some pictures. Again, thank you guys for saying hi to us. We'll post pictures. Sarah, congratulations! Like you, fan. I met her last year at the Ducks game. She got married. She just did an East Coast trip. Went to a couple games. Went to PWHL game. Got a Miller puck last night too. So we saw her. So she's a nice supporter. We had a couple hockey birthdays yesterday too. It was Quick's birthday. It was Miller's birthday. Liz had the cute little sign trying to get his attention, but I think he knows.
I'm telling you, when Miller sees me, he's like, I know you're the one who talks about me. I know it.
It's a glare.
In my mind, he just glares
just
at me.
Like the kind of glares I got trying to get props during, because we're down there with the kids getting props and high fives. So I got a couple. Actually, I think I got the video where I got the prop from Miller at the Kings game. So it was all good. Everybody was out. Everyone was great. We made it through. We got one more game. So I'll be sitting, relaxing in my jammies tomorrow and finishing up recuperating. Tomorrow night should be good. Let's let's try to go for a shutout tonight against San Jose. Apparently those tickets are only like $8. So if you want to take a trip out there, the seats are wide open up there. So you can enjoy that game pretty much free if you're in that area.
It's basically free.
Actually, that'll be fun. I want to see how the Ranger fans are going to be there tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week. Let's go, Rangers.